Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Man of Prestige. My name is Ola, coming to you live from my Empire Pro Studios. We're going to talk about Natasha Akpoti versus Akpabio. We're going to catch an update. Deji Adeyanju was being dragged over the past few days because he made some comments that, of course, the general public consider to be insensitive when it comes to the matters of sexual harassment. So, on this particular episode of the Natasha Akpoti versus Akpabio, we're going to review what they're talking about. I'm gonna, you know, shed some lights on some things. When we're looking at this kind of situations, how we address them, how we respond to them, these are the things that I want to pay attention to, that I want you to pay attention to, right? So, but let's just do a quick review of why we're talking about Natasha Akpoti. Well, over the past going to several weeks now, maybe 2 or 3 weeks, she basically jumped on Arise TV news and called out the Senate president. Natasha Akpoti is a senator representing Kogi Central of Nigeria, and she called out the Senate president Akpabio for sexual harassment following a situation that was basically boiling in their Senate seats over Senate seat arrangement matters. And she went on to say she was being maligned, that ever since some kind of nightclub incident, that the guy had been salty, was butthurt over the fact that she said no to his sexual advances. So she alleges. So they went on, she put a petition together. The Senate threw the petition out, completely denied her of any type of hearing. She went to the IPU, the UN IPU in New York City, I think. They had an assembly, a general assembly thing going on in New York City. She presented her case. They told her they would listen to both sides. But things are balancing out. We're starting to pay attention. Overall, I still stand on what I stand on, which is there must be fair hearing. You can't just throw out a person that's claiming sexual harassment and you cannot preside over your own matter, which is what the Senate president did. We can't do that, So it's a lot that's been happening. They've been trying to expose her since then too. Some people say she has 6 children with 6 different fathers. Since then they've basically debunked that. She has 4 children with 3 different fathers. Her last born is with her present husband, which is High Chief Emmanuel Uduaga. So Natasha Akpoti Uduaga she's a well-accomplished lady. She's a lawyer. She's a senator. She's been fighting. She's also known as an activist, fighting for people, fighting for discrimination with the steel industry or industrialization in general in Nigeria. And she's just trying to do her best. That doesn't mean she's innocent. The point is that she must get fair hearing before you determine if she's innocent at all. So for all the emotional people that are very quick to call other people emotional, that's precisely what we're asking you to do. She must get fair hearing before you can throw out her petitions. And if you don't understand that, then you're the one that's being emotional. All right, so go figure, right? So a lot of events has happened since then. I just wanted to come here today and give some updates, some interesting updates, particularly with respect to this Deji Adeyanju video. I definitely wanted to play this video. And then one other journalist from TVC has some interesting things to say about Natasha. Maybe not directly at her, but some interesting take on what he thinks with regards to sexual harassment. And I wanted to take some time to highlight some educational stuff for those that still think toasting, approaching a lady is the same thing as sexual harassment. They are not the same thing, and there's some clear differences, okay? Some clear differences. Like, for example, toasting is toasting. I guess toasting can become sexual harassment, but toasting doesn't have to be sexual harassment. There's still 2 different things. But if you're toasting and you don't know how the borders, you don't know where to draw a line, and you don't have any self-respect, then of course you can easily get into the zone of sexual harassment. Okay, because after all, it's just simple interaction between 2 human beings that become sexual harassment. So you can't say, so we cannot interact anymore. You can say that. because nobody's asking you not to interact. We're saying you should know the line, you should know where you draw the line when you start to be received as sexual harassment. That's all we're saying. So I know we've overcomplicated it, and now they are going to be dragged across social media, and rightfully so, because that's actually part of the tactics that she's using, and she has the right to use social media, public opinion, public space. If they refuse to answer to it, then they will have to use their embarrassment. It's just what it is. Okay. All right. So with that being said, I'm gonna play this Deji Adeyanju video, and then we'll react to it, and I will also give Deji Adeyanju some advice here.
Senator Natasha has made these allegations that the Senate president tried to sexually harass her. I also think that Senator Natasha should, as a matter of, since they have refused to give her fair hearing in the Senate, let her make public, credible evidence to back up the claim.
Let's be fair to Deji. He actually says since they have refused to give her fair hearing. So he gets credit for that already. But let's keep going.
Easy. The man public, credible evidence to back up the claim. It's very easy. The man has said it's a lie. I did not do anything to her. So if there are messages, maybe, oh, please come over to so place, reveal them, expose the man. Do you understand? After all, he who alleges must prove.
All right, so I don't think it's easy. I already don't think it's easy for her to even have to call out this man. That's why we must try our best not to even put ourselves in that position at all. Because once you enter that zone, nothing is easy. So the idea that it's easy, maybe I'm just nitpicking his words, but it's not easy. Okay, and there's a good chance that people can still go through sexual harassment and there's no whatever you call credible evidence. In other words, they will have to use corroborations of all sorts, maybe I don't know, witnesses, I don't know, maybe narration. They will have to use discretion oftentimes, which is why some people don't feel comfortable coming out. But when you continue to ask them for evidence, or you sound like you're already shooting down the allegation, then it makes it even that much harder. But again, let's be fair to Deji Adeyanju. He actually said since they refused to give her fair hearing. Okay, so you get credit for that, but then calling it easy, I'm not too sure it's that easy. We'll talk about that in a second.
Why are you protecting the man? If it is true that, for instance, if somebody harasses me in this office, if the person harasses me and I try to get justice here and I'm not getting justice, let her bring forward the evidence so that we can help her.
I'm looking at the faces of these gentlemen behind the G right now. They all seem confused. It looks like it's just a whole new territory in Nigeria. It's either you have a coconut head who's arguing something they don't know anything about, or somebody who is just purely confused, right? But they know that this woman is not just being crazy. She's not just making allegations just because she wants to. But she needs evidence. But where's the evidence? Where's the evidence? So I don't think it's wrong question. It's just the tone speaks a lot more than the evidence you're actually asking for. It sounds like you will not give her fair hearing if she doesn't have any evidence. Yeah, she goes, shall I get tired, right? That's a problem, because there's too many people experiencing this same behavior, and we know that they are, but we're essentially saying we're not even going to entertain the conversation if they have no evidence. It's dangerous. It's a dangerous position to be in.
After all, the media can help amplify the matter. Do you understand? So this is another issue that I think, another way that I think she can get justice in the matter, by amplifying the messages and other issues. After all, she said there are witnesses, although some of the witnesses have denied, said that nothing of such happened. I think one of the witnesses were...
That's part of the difficulty that comes with it. So if, like for example, the husband was walking behind him, he has no idea what was being whispered into his wife's ears. So it's already difficult, even with the husband. The husband is just going to probably just going to come out and say, but I believe my wife. Because this is what my wife have gone through because she has panic attacks, because she's always afraid to go to work. She feels like this guy will sabotage her work. She continued to complain about it, and it took her time before she gained the courage to share that with me. Now they could corroborate that with some other things, and they were like, okay, all right, it's a situation that she needs to be compensated, maybe in a civil manner. But the point I'm making here is that no, it is not as easy as Deji Adeyanju is painting it to be, and that's why he's getting dragged across social media, because people can smell the insensitivity. But he's a lawyer, he's a public lawyer, especially lawyer to VDM, so he should be expecting that he can get dragged from time to time when he makes outrageous statements like this. But let's continue.
Is it bad? He said the thing never happened. So, but if she has other witnesses and other things, let her bring it forward so that we can help her fight the fight.
So the Akpabio guy said he was always traveling with them and stuff. It was all the way through there. How can you all the way be with them? It's impossible. You can't all the way 100% at any party be with people. People can be harassed in the nightclub, in any event, and you could be in the same room and not know. So the fact that they wouldn't even mention the possibilities of that is crazy work. Yeah, anyway.
Good fight. But sincerely speaking, I think we should focus on other issues. There is a boy in Adamawa that has been sentenced to death by hand.
All right, so kudos to VDM. I know some of you want to hear that. So here you have it. Kudos to VDM and Deji Adeyanju. They want to talk about more serious issues. Anyway, in this video, we're talking about Natasha. So that's why Deji had been getting dragged. There's another gentleman here. Let's play this video. There's just some very wild analysis, and the way some of these guys are addressing this issue is no wonder people don't feel safe to come out and say, hey, this happened to me. It's like very little to no wonder. Just listen to him again.
Many Nigerians are not in control of their emotions. It's not an insult, it's reality.
Many Nigerians are not in control of their emotions. It's not an insult, it's a reality. Let's hear the reality he's talking about. Let's find out if he's caught up in his emotion. I'm not sure. I don't think I will call him caught up in his emotions, but I think when you're very quick to call other people that have different viewpoints emotional, I think you might be the one that's actually more emotional. Let's stick to the issues, shall we?
You conclude, you hear one side, you conclude that, oh, let me nail that guy to the cross. You have not even found out.
So actually, that's the actual issue that was being mentioned, except that you flipped it. And there's no amount of flipping that's going to flip this. She made an allegation. She filed a petition. The petition did not get fair hearing. We're asking for that same exact thing where you don't flip. And you're just saying no. You're interpreting that when people say, no, don't do that, you need to give her fair hearing. You now being emotional, you're interpreting that as people are being emotional by asking for a fair hearing. Make that make sense. She filed a petition. She's making a claim that this guy, her boss, because again, now you have to consider that he's a guy, is power dynamics, has quote unquote some kind of boss, Senate president, had sexually harassed her, and then also continued to harass her and abuse his position, power abuse. There's no fair hearing. So there's an uproar in social media. And then people say, give her fair hearing, and you interpret that as people are taking sides. That is precisely being emotional. Can we go back to the issues? Can you give her fair hearing? Nobody is judging him at all. Just give, as a matter of fact, let's rephrase that. Give both of them fair hearing. He needs to step down so they can both get fair hearing. If you don't understand that, and this is how you're talking, you're the one that's being emotional. It's a confusion of yourself and an argument with your own destiny. It's a problem.
For me, I want her to go to court so that the evidence, because I keep reading about concrete evidence. Oh, maybe as Akpabio was talking,
there's a recorded
it was recorded and all that.
That would be a maybe, right? And that's a very almost negative maybe. It's highly unlikely that she had a recorder with her while her hand was being held, and he was supposed to be showing her around the house, And then he's going, we could come here and spend some quality time together. I know how to create room and make it fun for us. And there's been recurring situations like that. And they're supposed to be family friends. And she's probably thinking, like, is this guy serious? I'm not sure he knows. Like, what are you saying? What are you doing? And she's probably just as confused as the people that are calling people asking for fair hearing emotional. Right? She was probably just as confused. What are the chances that she had any kind of recording? Almost none. Does that make it to not have happened? No. But can she still shalaye? Because no evidence, yes. Because she's already doing that now. Hopefully she don't go shalaye tired. Explain. Hopefully not, though. But hopefully they. This is what I want to say. This is being fair. Let's be fair. Hopefully they both get justice.
We go explain because no evidence.
Only emotional people will not understand what I just said. And that's okay to be an emotional person. I just want you to acknowledge that I'm just as emotional. Just tell yourself. All right, good. Are we good?
Yeah, it's good.
All right. Let's get back to it. Let's get back to the issues. Baba is still talking. Let's see if it makes some sense.
Let us have those things presented in court.
Yeah, let's go to court.
Akpabio, for example, the CCTV of his house,
Okay.
on the day the visitor, investigators will be able to show it to us. Let us see where she was holding his hand up.
Her
And
husband was there following.
Our husband was there following them, and there was CCTV, and they should pull up the CCTV. I need to get Gigi's laugh into this thing. What are the chances of that happening? Let's keep listening to these jokers.
Them in
And
the same room.
Akpabio, if indeed the husband was within earshot,
Yes.
what kind of a man will be toasting a lady? Because what that amounted to toasting, in my view, not harassment.
Toasting can equals to harassment. Not all toastings are harassments, right? Unwelcome sexual advances is called harassment, but that harassment started as a toasting. So, Baba, you're not saying when you say it's toasting amount to. It looks like you're trying to minimize it from the allegations she's made down to the beginning of the toasting. She said a repetitive, like she said, the guy has made. This is allegations that needs fair hearing, which you are actively pushing against, even though you call it let them go to court, where they're in some kind of court already because they have Senate seats and they have committee of ethics that blatantly threw it out. Nisuru, she's probably gonna go to court. This girl is not to be played with. Obviously, she's probably gonna end up in court. And if she doesn't end up in court, you're already in the worst of them all types of court, and it's not working out for you. The court of public opinion, because when those ones take sides, they take sides. They don't need your evidence like that. No, they just take sides purely out of marketplace emotions. Problems.
There's a difference between toasting a woman and harassing a woman.
There is a difference, but one starts and then advances to the other one. Oftentimes, they're not that different. You're trying to make it like they're like parallel lines. No, they're not parallel lines. Okay, you're trying to make it like they're mutually exclusive. No, they're not. And a lot of times it starts as toasting, and then you don't know how to take no for a no. You don't know how to have some self-respect that this is somebody's wives. And you kept doing it. And then you forgot that you were the boss, meaning the power dynamics is not balanced. Yeah, you forgot that. Yeah, because you actually have the power to silence her if she doesn't give you what she wants. And she's also accusing him of that. That, hey, this guy, I told him, like, you're not allowing me to make my emotions. And so I said, you know what? All you have to do, allegedly, is to make me happy. If you make me happy, the world is yours. It's still toasting, but it's sexual harassment, Baba.
We have to get that clear because it's looking, the Puritans that we see making analysis all over the place, some of them are worse. But
The Puritans that are making analysis all he's talking to us, so it's talking to us now. They are making analysis straight bullets. So we can't analyze anymore. You can't allow us on the internet to
Let be poor. Breathe.
Oh my show. Oh my show. Hit the like button, share, subscribe, turn up your notifications. Hit the like button, share, subscribe, turn up your notifications. Alright, so let's keep going.
today, some of them are equating toasting a woman
To harassment.
to harassment.
This Baba is analyzing now, right?
People who habitually toast women, people toast married women, even married women to toast men in the workplace. These things happen.
Okay, these things happen. And what does that have to do with what we're talking about? Analysis. Analysis in the poto. What does this have to do with the price of Ataloja? Analysis to talk about people making analysis all over the place. Okay. And toasting can lead to sexual harassment still. Having sex with your wife can lead to sexual assault too, yes. Having a conversation with your husband can lead to verbal abuse. Do we not know that? What is Baba talking about? Let's keep going.
These things happen except we want to pretend. Do you know the kind of message that we get from some people? If they see you on TV, they say, this person.
Nah, Baba is flexing. He too. Women are toasting. Women are toasting this Baba too. Possible.
Not be juju be that.
No, possible. Possible. It's very possible.
You think say they wise?
Yeah, Baba just kind of like pushing small flex. Like, you know what kind of messages we get, Baba? File your own case in court or if you feel like it's sexual harassment. But you cannot manipulate other people who feel like sexual harassment to make it just simply toasting. What is wrong with toasting? That's why somebody came and said her problem is her beauty.
Will you keep quiet?
You get message from women.
Exactly. Did they tell us? Tell
Let us
nicely.
go.
They are-
Flex.
have
A
they
day
been
will come.
toasting
A day will come.
The other journalist said, hey, tell us more. People have been toasting you. They probably want your money, Baba.
A day will come. A day will come when we will even present some of these things.
Why?
Women who regule their ways record themselves and send to us.
Oh, hence they want something from you.
By
Okay.
will.
They want a position from you, so they send nudies to you. Oh, Baba is also getting the DMs. He's getting, stuff sliding. They're sliding quickles in DMs for Baba. Flexing.
Of marketing themselves, a lot of it. Have we called that one harassment? So let's
Yeah, so because you chose not to call it harassment doesn't make it not harassment. That's the thing here. And that doesn't make other people not consider it harassment to the point where they will be willing to push it. Maybe you're not losing anything. Maybe she's been losing too much and she felt the need to say, you know what? Enough is enough. That's what sounds like to me. Analysis in the what? Analysis in the poro. Let's keep going.
let's deal with the
matter on ground.
The matter on ground.
Okay.
There's a difference between toasting a woman.
No, but you're wrong. Not all the way wrong, halfway wrong. But I thought you wanted to go back to the matter on ground.
The woman is married or harassing a woman. Because today people are just treat even toasting as harassment. That's rubbish now.
That's not rubbish. It's rubbish for you. You need to add for you to it. And it's 2025. You have to add for me. That's rubbish. Well, guess what? She doesn't think it's rubbish. she dragged the whole country in the last 2 weeks in the mud all the way down to New York. And that's the reality you need to face. And stop arguing with your destiny. Press shorty one.
Everything I do, I will. Pressure to what?
The workplace, people, you toast a woman. Those who are habitually toasters of women, when they toast a woman and they run into a brick wall, they simply move to the other person.
So that's the point, Baba. Baba is arguing with his destiny. They said Baba did not move to the other person. Instead, he allegedly decided to be punishing her.
Let the poor breathe.
Senate President Akpabio has been punishing her allegedly. That's what she's claiming. That's what needs fair hearing. But you're over here telling her that it's rubbish. You're being dismissive. Oh. No. Could it work?
Apa is lie.
Yeah, you're going to get this work, obviously.
In every workplace, you have such men. We laugh at them. They don't care. And a lot of them are married. This one does not agree. He moves to the next person. He will be lucky with. He will be lucky with.
Exactly.
It's not possible that at every turn he will be unlucky. Somebody.
This is the part where you guys will say, well, that doesn't make it right. And I agree, that doesn't make it right. If he doesn't want to take, then when you hit the brick wall, a real brick wall in the future, where they are taking your livelihood away from you, not just because somebody said no to toasting, they take your livelihood, then your sense will be, you have correct sense. That's how life works, right? Let me borrow Uncle Bendo's word, consequential. You hit a real block, you hit like a real wall, and then suddenly your sense will wake up. You get recorrected, reset sense that this is not your rules. You need to have some social intelligence. The world is changing. Everything that used to be so wrong and right at the same time is straight up wrong, especially when it violates other people's rights. You know, a little something we should learn about, right? Violating other people's rights, even when you didn't think you were wrong. Well, now it's your word against theirs. Then that situation needs fair hearing. Don't get emotional about that again. Especially, don't get emotional and come back to us and tell us we're being emotional. No, you're emotional. That case needs fair hearing. Reno or mockery or not. Every case is a case by case by case. It needs fair hearing.
They will be happy to flow with him. So this is let's know that there's a difference between toasting and what's it called? Toasting and harassment. They must establish that there's a difference.
Baba, you are so wrong. It is ridiculous.
Okay.
So if we toast a woman, it should not be now. They should not now say it is an harassment. For example, like Reno.
Okay.
What Reno
Not the
did
Reno.
at that time amounted to, and although it was discovered that was even a lie, if indeed Reno did that at that time, she was not married.
Okay.
So was it wrong? No, let's face it. Was it wrong?
Well.
If Reno he was not married.
So
She
this
was not
guy,
married, although Reno was married.
this Baba just literally threw Reno under the bus. In the same breath, he threw the whole Senate under the bus, because what he's saying is that they do toast each other when they're supposed to be creating laws, married or married. That's everything he just said. That's when you talk too much, right? You will sin. Talking too much leads to sin. Proverbs 10:19, my new favorite scripture. Talk too much. Now you're saying they did it. Don't come back and call us sexual harassment. Okay, we don't have to call it sexual, but they did it, right? Are you saying they did it? Oh, okay.
But it turned out to even be a lie. That one turned out to be a lie.
Down all the
Reno brought facts, incontrovertible facts, cast iron evidence to show that this was a lie from the pit of hell.
That wasn't
So
facts.
for Nigerians, the joke is on people will not wait to even hear.
That was bullshit, and it only proved that she did not get the time accurately. That's all it proved. And did she call it sexual harassment? I didn't see a video where she called it sexual harassment. She only called it was a sexual advancement, like he was toasting. That's all she said. And that nigga did not know how to just leave a woman saying you toasted alone. He needed to drag a woman for that. That's all that proof, you know. If you have anything else, bring it forth. In fact, all the screenshots that he put on the screen were useless, because the only thing he said was he traveled at one point. Didn't really talk about his return time, and it doesn't really matter. Again, even if he did, it only disproved that she got the timing wrong. Well, women never forget things like that. Again, it's not relevant to what we're talking about. Fair hearing. Don't be emotional. Fair hearing for this specific case. When you have the fair hearing, then you can drag in her track records, her patterns of behavior. Then you can drag it into that. But until you're open to fair hearing, keep short. Because you talk too much, it leads to sin. Proverb 10:19. Yes, I am actively manipulating with the scriptures, if that's how you feel. But let's keep going.
From the other side before they jump to conclusion. That cannot be a good habit. And I'm proud of this woman, Axon, who said,
let's hear from the other side.
That is my takeaway. I don't, okay, she's gone there, fine.
Okay.
But those people express a desire to hear from the other side. That is fantastic human conduct. That is the way we should do. No one is saying Akpabio is incapable of doing.
That's exactly what they've been asking you to do. Hear her out, and then he needs to step down so they can hear him too. It's actually in his favor. He will maintain his integrity. They do a fair hearing, and don't tell anyone. You can even go backwards in the back like you normally do and lie to us that you've done it. But not in everybody's face, just paint it. And then you sit down there, you call yourself a journalist, and then you're doubling down on discrediting her, using Reno or mockery of all people. Not all of us are going to buy into that. Of course not. Especially when you have a track record of silencing people that are not necessarily, just silencing anybody that seems less than. Especially women. So, sorry. This wasn't going to fly, and she went to IPU, and now you're trying to use IPU like we're going to hear from both sides. That's precisely what they have been asking you to do. A fair hearing. But somehow you're going to flip it, huh? And call people emotional when you are actually the one that's being emotional. Stop the cap.
Stop the cap.
All right, let's keep going.
In it. I'll be foolish to sit here and conclude that Akpabio can't do it. Do we live in the same? How much of him do I know?
True.
But I cannot jump to conclusions straight away that I must have done it. No, I wasn't raised like that. I wasn't brought up like that.
No, but you're literally jumping to conclusion that she's lying. That's the whole point of bringing up Reno mockery. That's the whole point of that. Because Reno mockery said what? She's a liar. That's literally what he said. And if you've given anybody credibility at all right now, you give Reno mockery. Maybe you give small to Akpabio. And then you came back and say, I can't really live with him. And say, but come on, stop the cap. Stop the absolute cap.
Stop the cap.
Way both
I was
sides.
brought up to ask questions.
All right, Majid, what is the consequence of this matter now that it's been?
Baba is capping. That was a bunch of, that's a 5 minutes of bullshit. I'm sorry, with all due respect. Most sorry, gone. Okay, don't let's call it bullshit. Agbalagbani Baba. Let me retract that back. Baba. Let's go back to school. The school of 2025, not 1975. 2025. Okay. First of all, there's a clear difference between sexual harassment and toasting a person or expressing romantic interest in a person. And I want to spend some time on highlighting those right now because yeah, that's at this point that's what I should do, you know. There's been according to Sarah Reporter News, they're saying that Senate President Akpabio plots to step down momentarily for Senate committee to officially clear him, recommend indefinite suspension for Senator Natasha. That's the rumors that's going on right now. They're saying they're actively trying to cook that behind the scenes, right now. And when Sahara reporters carry something like that, pay attention. They said, according to the sources, both Natasha and Akpabio will, in the coming week, okay, this was published yesterday, coming week, appear the Senate committee in the bid to make the Senate president fulfill all righteousness before landing a heavier blow on the suspended female senator. Because they will say they're not comfortable working together, that they need to assign somewhere. That's what they're about to do, right? But then the internet would drag them woto. In fact, that's the trap right now. They should fall right into it. The Senate President Godswill Akpabio, currently facing backlash over the allegation of a sexual harassment, may step down in the coming week in a plot to allow, what's this, Monday morning, Sunday evening? Oh yeah, it's about to happen. I think they're about to do that. In the coming week to allow the Senate Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions to officially clear him. Sahara Reporters has learned. They're so predictable on what they're doing. The Senate Committee, after clearing Akpabio, is then expected to recommend an indefinite, instead of 6 months, indefinite suspension for his accuser and female senator, Natasha Akpoti Uduaghan. Sahara Reporters further gathered from top sources. Hold on 1 second. All right. From top sources that... Wait. I missed where I'm reading. Okay, from top sources in the Red Chamber on Saturday. According to the sources, both Natasha and Akpabio will in the coming week appear. Okay, they're repeating it. The investigation will be conducted by the Senator Neda Nuance committee, the same guy that was disbarred from practicing law in New York, by the way. While the alleged plan involves presenting Akpabio officially innocent of all allegations and suspending Senator Natasha for the entirety of the remaining part of her tenure. Senator Ireti Kingibe's recent statement supporting the investigation and Senator Onyekachi Nweboyin Channel TV interview are reportedly part of the orchestrated plan to perfect the suspension plot. Nweboyin had revealed that both Akpabio and Natasha would eventually face an investigative panel. The plan currently being orchestrated is to suspend Senator Natasha to the end of the tenure. The report of the panel is currently being prepared. I think they're stupid enough to actually follow through. Yeah, it'll be interesting. They will get a little credit for me if they don't do that. If they do the hearing and then come back and say, okay, apologies came from both sides, we're going to continue business as usual. If they're smart enough, they will do something like that, but I doubt it. I don't think that the leadership in Nigeria, which is a function of the people of Nigeria, you're not exonerated from this. I don't think they're that wise. I think it's evident the state of the country, what has been happening is so obvious. It's so obvious. And even when ignorant argue on the internet, it gets so obvious. Today on Uncle Bendo's platform, somebody was just telling me that I don't care about the reason. It is just wrong. I was like, and you're talking about politics or you're talking about real life societal issues? That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life. You don't care about the reasons. You just want to call Tinubu wrong. It's no wonder he won, because he knew you were going to be that stupid. You know? Anyway, that's that with that. The other report here that I think was interesting that I think we should point out. Let me see if I can find it. It's a fresh controversy, they say, on Premium Times. There's a report on Premium Times about a fresh controversy. It says exclusive fresh controversy trails Natasha Akpoti's Uduaghan's suspension as senators disown committee report. So now they're fighting within themselves. They're saying they were not responsible for the committee report that suspended her in the first place. What are they saying? Wait, the controversy surrounding the suspension of the Kogi Central Senator Natasha Akpoti Uduaghan has deepened with allegations that the signatures attached to the Senate Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petition report were not for the endorsement of the suspension, but rather attendance record. So they presented attendance record signature as the suspension. This led to confusion at the closed-door Senate meeting, as some senators reportedly claimed their signatures were misrepresented to give the impression of unanimous support for the suspension. Wala. Attendance or endorsement. Hey, these people. What did I just say? I really don't think they are that wise. I really don't. I think, with all due respect to all these old people in those Senate seats, I really think it's a bunch of Foolishness, not foolish people, foolishness. I'm trying hard to be. I need to be nice, but maybe if I was a trained journalist, I would have the right words to use, you know. But pardon me, we're just man of a city. We're just learning. We're just extracting life and relationship lessons from trendy topics. Okay. On 5th of March, members of the Senate Committee on Ethics convened to investigate the seat arrangements of dispute between. Anyway, what they're saying that all the signatures were misrepresented. So effectively, the suspension may not even be a real thing. Isn't that sad? This girl is whooping their butt left and right everywhere. They don't know what to do with themselves. Anyway, let's leave that alone. Oh, wow. All right. Where are we? All right. So, Deji Adeyanju got dragged. Deji Adeyanju is the guy who represents VDM and is painting himself as the coconut head lawyer. I'm going to reserve my comment. I'm watching him. Okay. Okay. But maybe you should get some more reviews on his Google listings. That's what you should be busy doing right now. And be careful with how you represent VDM. You can represent him as a lawyer in a professional manner without putting your head in all those matters. These things come back and haunt you, promise. But you're a lawyer, you're a professional. It's okay to represent even the worst of criminals. Why not? That's what a lawyer does, right? All right, so now with that being said, a couple of things I want to share with you. There are two things I want to share with you. I want to share with you the challenges of proving sexual harassment in a high-power political setting. It is not the as easy as Deji Adeyanju made it sound. I think a part of Deji Adeyanju really does not understand sexual harassment and how it works. And so this is going to be my advice to him and everyone like him. In cases of sexual harassment involving powerful individuals, particularly where the behavior is primarily verbal, and of course in private, gathering concrete evidence becomes exceedingly difficult. This challenge is amplified when the accused holds significant influence, making potential witnesses hesitant. Like the cowards in the Senate seats, we'll kind of find out now that they might have misrepresented their signature, but then they say, yeah, they say nay. It was a confusing thing. There's another video where he actually overrode their yay and nay and I. Anyway, beyond that, because this guy is in an influential position, it makes potential witnesses hesitant to come forward due to fear of retaliation, because clearly they are also accusing him of same behavior, retaliates, not giving her opportunity to push her motions because she said no. Anyway, in this scenario, with this Natasha Akpoti situation, where she's facing months, potentially years of unwanted advances from the Senate president, who, after being rejected, allegedly uses his power to obstruct her work and damage her reputation, it's almost impossible. However, proving such misconduct is an uphill battle it's always going to be an uphill battle for several reasons. Sometimes you might even consider at the personal level, like, is it even worth it? Maybe there's some things I can do to not have to put myself, because that's what you guys are asking. Oh, why do you put yourself in that position? Why are you wearing a transparent dress all over the place? Whereas the girl is not wearing anything transparent. She has a lawsuit right now for defamation on that particular matter. One, there's lack of direct evidence. What do I mean by lack of direct evidence? Remember, majority of this interaction, this particular what we're talking about, is verbal, right? If it's verbal, since the harassment is verbal and happens in private, like not when the whole world was watching on YouTube, there are no recordings, there's no written exchanges. Potentially, maybe there is. If there is, she will present, right? But usually there's none, right? there's nothing like that to serve like what you might consider to be undeniable proof. So without text messages, which is possible she might have them because she's actually saying, I've got them. Social media is asking for it. She said, no, wait, I've got those text messages or something like that. But she hasn't told us that. But it's possible she doesn't have anything like that. It doesn't mean they can't prove it. Okay, so without text messages, emails, or surveillance footages like Baba suggested, CCTV, the case largely relies on the senator's word against the Senate president's. So it's a difficult thing. It's not something you can just run your mouth and say, hey, bring out concrete. Okay, we can all run our mouth. If she has them, she can bring it. I want to be nice to Deji Adeyanju. I like Deji, but I think the public might have a point for dragging her. You're dragging him. Number two, the power imbalance and the fear of retaliation. Again, witnesses such as colleagues, staffers, the other senates, not the cowards, the senates, may suspect or observe indirect signs of misconduct. You know, the Baba said, well, I don't live with him. I don't know what he does, but he's just toasting, right? Well, they might suspect it, but they might be unwilling to testify due to political consequences. Right? Political consequences. As you can see, consequences is not necessarily right and wrong too, right? It could just mean somebody is in a position of power. Okay? So if they're afraid of that, then they won't step forward. Right? Those who do speak out, they could potentially risk professional repercussions, making them hesitant to support the senator's claim. Can you blame them? They have to feed their families. A very difficult place to be, right? Well, they should be men of integrity. Well, good luck with that. Number three, obstruction as retaliation. This is another reason why it's almost impossible to find evidences. It's possible, but it's almost impossible when it's strictly verbal. And the problem is that you're making, it's just verbal, it's just toasting, so it's not sexual harassment. No, you're wrong. Because they can still prove it, but not just with your type of evidence, not with your VDM stupid type evidence with screenshots that we can't prove anywhere. Not with those. They will have to corroborate patterns, ideas. They have to have fear. That's the whole point of fair hearing. You get it? You get it? At this point, if you don't get it.
You get it? Okay. If you don't get it, forget about it. All right.
I don't know what to tell you, man. All right. But let's move on to number four. Personal and political complications. It's not as simple as it sounds, especially when people say, just evidence, just bring out the evidence. Okay, well, do you have your evidence? If you don't have evidence, just keep short. No, it's not that simple. If that was how our judicial systems work, everybody could just collect left and right. That's the whole point of fair hearing. That's why they give a judge the power of this. He or she can use discretion in some of these cases. That's why it's possible somebody that didn't commit anything can end up in jail. It's unlikely because of thank God for systems, but it's possible that the person that didn't commit anything can end up in jail for a long time. So what's the solution? To not believe people that make accusations? No, you're wrong. You're wrong. You're just dead on arrival wrong. You still have to give people fair hearing, especially if you are emotionalizing it and calling people emotional when you're the one that's actually truly emotional. Let's move on to number 5. Okay, no, I didn't address number 4, did I? I didn't. Let's go back to number 4. Personal and political complications, right? The senator's marriage to a friend of the Senate president. Of course, that adds an additional layer of complexity. You know, personal relationships can be exploited to dismiss or discredit her allegations, and her spouse may be pressured to remain neutral or take the Senate president's side, especially that they are pulling us some weirdo letters from a long time ago that she might have manipulated or blackmailed him to marrying her. I doubt it, but you know, people will take anything on the screen of a computer as evidence in this social media age. Guess what's left? Who's left for to prove it? The courts of law. Anyway, number 5, emotional and social barriers. Emotional and social barriers. Filing for a formal complaint or going public with allegations against a powerful political figure can lead to intense scrutiny. And rightfully so, because you're accusing the Senate president, we can't just take your word at it. But that's not what anybody was asking for. They're asking for fair hearing. Okay? See, motion 10 more, moon 10 more, yeah, moon 10 more, hey, it's 10 more, right? Because some people need to hear it over and over and over and over. Yeah, I go, shall I, explain.
You go explain because no evidence.
No evidence. I have evidence. So you better take, you see, I'm joking around a lot, but you better pay attention, okay? Emotional and social barriers. Filing a formal complaint or going public with allegations against a powerful political figure can lead to intense scrutiny, rightfully so, victim blaming, and potential career damage. This discourages many from speaking out unless they have irrefutable evidence or strong political backing. I have a very strong feeling she does have irrefutable evidence, but you have to chill and wait for it, because I'm telling you, now go collect. Now, given these challenges, these 5 different challenges I just told you, proving harassment in such a scenario it's not just difficult, it is an almost insurmountable task without the combination of indirect evidence, strategic documentation, and institutional and public support. What do you say? Public support, something that she's actively cooking as we speak right now. So this underscores the broader issue of how power dynamics and lack of tangible proof often silence victims of workplace harassment, particularly in political spaces. All right, so with that being said, I have a question. You know, that question that Baba keep talking about. So real quickly, a quick recap before I go into my question. The challenge of proving sexual harassment in a high-power political setting and maybe workspaces. Number 1, lack of direct evidence. Lack of direct evidence doesn't mean it can't be proven, but sometimes people just go back into their shell because they don't want to go through all that wahala. Number 2, power imbalance and fear of retaliation. Number 3, obstruction as retaliation. Okay, these are the things that makes it difficult. Number 4, personal and political complications. Number 5, emotional and social barriers. Now, I have this question. I have this very quick question. What is the difference, gentlemen? What's the difference between toasting, right? For those of you that are not Nigerians, it means expressing your romantic interest. Maybe I should add also verbally expressing, okay? Verbally expressing romantic interest. That's what we call toasting in Nigeria, right? And sexual harassment. What's the difference? There are differences. Baba is right, but it's making them mutually exclusive. They're not mutually exclusive, okay? They are interwoven. They can be a blurry line, okay? So it's something that we have to pay attention to beyond just if they're different or not. It's not just there's an overlap, is the point I'm trying to make. Okay, there's an overlap. Okay, the number one reason, the number one, there's the differences. There's differences, and there's overlap, right? But let's first of all talk about the differences. The first difference is the idea or the presence of consent and receptiveness. Sexual harassment does not, is toasting is still in that mutual, it's respectful. You're asking to see somebody in a romantic way. It involves expressing your romantic interest in a way that allows the other person to say yes or no without the fear or any kind of discomfort in their ongoing life, right? Sexual harassment disregard consent. Okay, it continues despite rejection and makes the recipient uncomfortable and pressured and unsafe. Okay, number two, let's get into number 2. I'm getting through it. Okay, this is very important. Share this with everybody that's still confused about this. Persistent and power dynamics. Okay, toasting stops when the other person shows disinterest or says no. It does not involve coercion, manipulation, or threats. That last part, threats. Okay, see, Toasting, he started with toasting, but it stops at some point. So sexual harassment often involves persistent despite rejection, especially when the harasser has power or authority over the other person, the boss, a professor, a political leader, either technically or not. Okay. I hope I'm on time. I think I'm on time. I want to be on time. Weekdays, I want to try to be on time. Nature of the behavior. The nature of the behavior also matters. So toasting is generally polite and respectful, involving compliments, light flirtations, and invitations, right? By the way, sexual harassment can also be those things, all of those things. It depends on the beholder, right? All right. But with that being said, ultimately, the full definition is that sexual harassment is unwelcomed, it's aggressive, not your intentions, just how the person is receiving it. It's unwelcome, it's aggressive, it includes inappropriate comments, not always, but if it's unwelcome, aggressive, that's really all you need, right? And in some cases, not all cases, touching, creating a hostile environment. What's hostile? What do you mean by hostile? It's not, you didn't mean it to be hostile, but it's 2025, Yara and Brain. It's hostile. The other person is receiving a hostile. So you have to learn how to read for that, and maybe just leave it alone. Like, just put your interest out there and leave it alone. Just say, these are my intentions. I like you. I dig you. And if it's workplace, leave it alone. If the person has interest, after all, you're going to be around them all the time. They will reciprocate in due time. If you don't understand what I just said, no, it's not toasting. You're just a sexual harasser. Okay? Sorry. But sorry, go.
Sorry.
All right. Number 4, impact on the recipient. I was just saying that it's not your intentions, it's the impact on the recipient. So toasting is meant to be pleasant, your intentions, flattering, allowing the recipient to feel in control. They have to feel they're in control. But if you miss that, now we're talking sexual harassment. It makes the recipient feel uncomfortable. Feeling is the key word. Uncomfortable, pressured, unsafe, and at risk of retaliation if they reject the advances. Why do I say feeling is the key word? Because I want you to pay attention. Okay? I want you to pay attention to beyond your intentions. You can't just say, because my intention is say it's rubbish, like Baba said. No, you don't get to say that. If you say that, you will collect. Especially if you live in the Western world, it's only a matter of time
Sorry.
before you tell on yourself. Okay? All right. What else do we have here? When I say we need to educate ourselves, this is an example of what we're talking about, just AKA, in case you're not realizing it. So those are the 4 differences right there. So toasting, examples. I really admire your intelligence and confidence. Would you like to have dinner sometimes? If they say no, leave it alone. Okay? Now, sexual harassment. Come on, you know you want it. Stop playing hard to get. Ignores rejection and pressures the person. If it's not workplace and they don't have to see you for the next 3 months, that's the blurry line. Every 3 months you see them, you still express your interest. It's a blurry line. If it's workplace, you're already in the zone of sexual harassment. If you now go to the level of saying, if you don't go out with me, don't expect me to support your bill in the Senate. Abi, if you just make me happy, I'm the one in charge here. You say things like that about that sexual harassment. So you and me, we're going to pretend that they never say anything like that. No, we don't know. We don't know. You're right. We don't know. Okay? The bottom line is that toasting is respectful. It's a respectful courtship, and it acknowledges the other person's agency, that the fact they're in control. Sexual harassment is unwelcome and it's cohesive, and you need to be aware that it's not just your intentions. So sometimes it's already being received that way, but you're not paying attention. It disregards their boundaries and it creates an intimidating and hostile environment. All right. Now, are they mutually exclusive? No. Toasting, which is expressing romantic interest, and sexual harassment are not always mutually exclusive, but they are fundamentally different in intent and execution. The key factor, the intent, only if you're intentional, of course, right? Now, the key factor that determines whether a situation is harmless, romantic pursuit, or harassment is how the interest is expressed and how the other person responds. Where the overlap is this: a toasting attempt can turn into harassment if the person continues despite rejection. If the approach is inappropriate from the start, for example, making sexual explicit comments, touching without consent, then it is not toasting, it is just harassment. The power dynamics can blur the line. That's where we're having issue with this conversation. The power dynamics, the fact that somebody is occupying the position of power, can blur the lines, and a romantic approach from a superior to a subordinate can feel like coercion, even if framed as toasting. You get it? You get it? Are we getting it or no? Hit the like button, share, subscribe, turn up your notifications. One last word, okay? Here's where they're separate. A toasting happens in a way that respects personal boundaries, stops when met with rejection. If you express your romantic interest, gentlemen, listen to me carefully. Confidence is sexy. Just say, I dig you, I like you. Leave it alone. That's all you need to do. Okay? Here's how you intrigue them even better. Continue life like you never said that ever in your life. She will never forget. The fact that you did that, she might not fall for you, but she will continue to respect you, Baba. You don't have to put yourself in harmful position because you want to be coconut head and argue toasting and not toasting. Like, what are you doing? What happened to your game? Oh my God. Sexual harassment involves persistence. Some people call that toasting. At the workplace, in power dynamics, that's obviously no, it is not. It's sexual harassment. It's inappropriate, and it's basically coercive behavior, regardless of what you think your intentions were, right? So here's an example of overlap. A man in the workplace flirts with a colleague and she politely declines. If he accepts the rejection and moves on, it remains toasting. Simple. If he keeps pursuing, pressures her and retaliates, it becomes harassment. No. If he keeps pursuing, it's already in the harassment zone. Just know these and know peace, okay? So they're not always mutually exclusive because one can evolve into the other depending on how the pursuer reacts to rejection. The moment respect and consent are disregarded, toasting crosses into harassment. That's all I have for you on this episode. Let me know your thoughts. Help me hit like, share, subscribe, turn up your notifications so you're notified when we go live. If you like this 1 hour drops, let me know. I asked you guys to let me know in the comments. Let me know. All right. Hopefully you've been enlightened and educated. I'll see you on the next one. Oh yeah, by the way, I'm a marriage coach. I'm a relationship coach. I'm a business coach. I'm all of the above. If you want help, particularly the marriage relationship part, the link is in the description. And if you want to fix a broken marriage, that's my expertise. The link is in the description. Book a complimentary session and let's see if we can work together. And then you also have opportunity to download my books for free. Hopefully you've been enlightened, educated. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. God bless. Peace.
Girl, it's your love that I've been missing. I miss all your hugs, your touching and kissing. Me love on the floor, the couch in the kitchen. One love enough, we done enough.